Shalom. Like to give all undergoing praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem Wakakadash. Like give double honors to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Salutations to our sincere Akim, push this word out across the four corners of the world. Just a quick news update concerning biblical prophecies, and this is from RT.com, and the title says, Biden reveals condition for imposing domestic travel v. mandate. And this was published on December the 29th, 2021. The president says he will act only on advice from health officials, but mixed signals abound. U.S. President Joe Biden said he will agree to impose new travel rules for the UNV should his medical team advise it, after the White House most senior C official suggested the move would be reasonable. Asked about the restrictions on Tuesday, Biden told reporters he will make a decision when I get a recommendation from the medical team, according to The Hill. While the president previously said he would wait for guidance from the scientific community before moving ahead with any new rules, he told ABC News last week that so far the recommendation I gotten is that they are not necessary. On Monday, however, Biden's top C advisor, Anthony Fauci, suggested otherwise, telling MSNBC that V requirements for domestic travel would be reasonable to consider, but noting that such a decision was unlikely to be made soon. And that's just that wicked, deceitful spirit of Esau Edom, how they make it seem like they're going against one another with their so-called restrictions, but at the same time, behind closed doors, they're all on the same page. And what they're telling the public is definitely something different what they're having behind closed doors. And that's why the scriptures always say how Esau Edom, he's the border of wickedness. And a major part of his wickedness is how he's deceiving the world with his tongue. Linking up with Psalm 52:2. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, meaning like damage, destruction. That's why it's so much havoc around the world, because look who's in rulership. Look who's in power of the earth that was given to them by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So that's why this world is in a chaotic type of state. So thy tongue deviseth mischief. So when you devise something, that means you are elaborating some type of crafty plan or plot. And that's what the elites of Esau Edom is doing to fulfill this global transformation. And it's all stages and phases that they're all going about this to fulfill this enterprise mentioned in the book of Job, the 5th chapter. So thy tongue deviseth mischiefs like a sharp razor, working deceitfully. And that links up with the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, how it goes into how the serpent was more subtle or crafty than any beast of the field. And that's the spirit of Esau Edom, who happens to be the so-called Caucasian race today. So thy tongue deviseth mischief. So anything that's dealing with mischief is dealing with evil. It's dealing with ill doing and wickedness, which links to the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter and the 1st verse. Woe to them that devise iniquity. And there go that word again, devise, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. It's in the power of the hand, like I stated earlier, because Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua put the tabernacle of Edom in a position of rulership. That's why it stated in the book of Ecclesiastes 10:4, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. So right now in this current state of the earth, it's somebody that's ruling is unprofitable. And it's all for the works of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, for us as the hopeful elect to be those perfect judges in the next kingdom to come, which is going to be the kingdom of heaven, which means kingdom of righteousness, so we can experience wickedness on this planet right now. And that's why we're experiencing and witnessing these things that's transpiring around the world due to the tabernacle of Edom. So woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hand. And anything that's dealing with Esau Edom, linking up with the book of 2nd Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter, who's coming is after the working of Satan. So it's that left hand, knowing that he's the adversary, he's Satan. So anything that's righteousness or pro Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua via the scriptures, Esau does the totally opposite. And that's just the way that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua spiritually designed him to be. And that's why it's well known around the tribe of Gad, who are the so-called Native Americans, they will call Esau fork-tongued devil, which is spiritual. And that's why it's stated in the book of Psalm 52, how their tongue is like a sharp razor, just like a fork is sharp. And it says, asked about Fauci's remarks during an appearance on National Public Radio on Tuesday, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Rochelle Walensky appeared to confirm the president's earlier statement, saying that while the rules have certainly been a topic of conversation, They were not something we are revisiting right now, which is nothing but lies. Though the U.S. has imposed a number of foreign travel restrictions throughout the pandemic, the most recent of which include a ban on visitors from South Africa due to the Omicron variant, lifted by the White House earlier on Tuesday, no federal rules have been brought in to date for domestic travelers. So dealing with the secret council of the wicked, referring to the tabernacle of Edom, beginning with these elites, they're trying to urge in this global transformation. So by these unrighteous decrees, they're making it more stricter and harder and oppressive upon the American inhabitants. And this is all a part of his draconian measures. And with that type of vibration that he's pushing out there amongst these Americans, it's making them more bitter, more agitated, more divided. Then the next thing you know, it's going to be sedition amongst men, which is a part of biblical prophecies. And this is the book of 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter and the 15th verse. For the sword and the destruction drawing nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. That's why it's stated in the book of Isaiah, the 19th chapter, how the Egyptians going against the Egyptians. It's separation and division amongst the so-called United States of America. So when you see this type of vibration going on within the kingdom, that's how you know this kingdom is about to get ready to split. Its rulership is on its way out. So for the sword and their destruction draw nigh, and one people should stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there should be sedition among men, and that's going to these uproars and rebellions. For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions should stand in their power. So these Americans are getting fed up with their being fed on mainstream news, and they're going to take it out on their local authorities, their local government officials. And it's going to be all type of warfare in the streets of America. It's going to be very chaotic here. And that's all planned by the secret council of the wicked, the workers of iniquity. And that's what they want. They want that order out of chaos so they can implement their so-called order, which is going to this new world order mentioned in the book of Job, the 5th chapter, how the elites of Esau Edom wants to fulfill their enterprise, which is that great reset. And here's the point of it in verse 17. A man should desire to go into a city and should not be able. And that's where we stand right now concerning biblical prophecy, how they want to impose domestic travel due to this V mandate. So right now, if they're already thinking about making mandates for domestic traveling, then you already know it's going to trickle on down to the grounds with interstate traveling. And that type of vibration, which is this medical tyranny that they're pushing upon these Americans, is going to make these Americans more agitated, more bitter. And that's going to lead more into 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, how it's going to be sedition among men, and how they are not going to hold their local authorities or government officials in high regard. So as we are approaching the end of this year, 2021, you can see through the spirit, beginning 2022, it's going to get more drastic and oppressive with Esau's unrighteous decrees. And another thing I wanted to add is those drastic measures are being taken place right now in Australia concerning the restrictions upon interstate traveling, where you have to have certain paperwork or exemptions for you to be able to travel there. So a country like Australia is nothing but a test trial country for what's to come to America, known as Babylon the Great, which is that main hub that the elites of Esau Edom is saving the best for last to urge in this NWO agenda. So concerning this airline traveling, it's a big pleasure upon these Americans. So by them slowly but surely seeing their so-called rights being taken away from them, it's pushing them more to their edge, making them more bitter and more agitated. And that's the type of vibration that the elites of Esau Edom want them to be in, so they can be chaotic, so the elites can bring forth this order, which is going to this new world order. So I just wanted to bring that out through the spirit, how all this is linking up with 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, how it says a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able, which is leading into the restrictions upon domestic traveling. And pretty soon it's going to lead to restrictions upon interstate traveling, where it's going to be martial law checkpoints, where you have to have paperwork to show for proof that you have the so-called you know what. So that was just a quick update right there through the spirit. Aparadazat, you always edify, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.